A spring located just 100 feet above a house can generate more than 43 psi of water pressure. That's enough pressure to rival many modern homes. No pump, no electricity, no motor, just gravity. Now imagine a water system built on that principle. A system that supplied water 24 hours a day, every day of the year, for generations. To most people, that sounds impossible. After all, we're taught that water pressure comes from pumps. No pump means no running water. At least that's what modern life suggests. But hidden throughout the Appalachian Mountains was a different solution. One that turned elevation into energy. Long before electric pumps reached many rural communities, mountain families faced a challenge that shaped daily life. Water. Every meal required it. Every bath required it. Every load of laundry depended on it. Livestock needed it. Gardens needed it. Without water, nothing else mattered. The problem was simple. Getting water wasn't easy. A spring might sit hundreds of feet away, sometimes downhill, sometimes across rough terrain. Every bucket had to be carried by hand. Every gallon required effort, and that effort never stopped. Then families noticed something important. Water always flows downhill. Streams do it, creeks do it, rivers do it. Everything in nature follows gravity. What if gravity could carry water directly into the house? That question led to one of the most reliable systems ever used in Appalachia. A system so simple that once it was built, nature handled most of the work. The mountain became the water tower.
Before gravity-fed water systems, water was one of the most demanding jobs on an Appalachian homestead. Today, most people use water without thinking about it. Turn a handle, push a button, water appears. But for mountain families, every gallon had to be earned. A single gallon of water weighs more than 8 pounds. A 5-gallon bucket weighs over 40 pounds. Now imagine carrying that weight several times a day, every day, for years. Water was needed for cooking, cleaning, laundry, bathing, livestock, gardens, and preserving food. A family could easily use dozens of gallons every day. That meant countless trips between the house and the nearest water source. Sometimes the spring sat downhill from the house, which meant every bucket had to be carried back up hay. In winter, those trips became even harder. Snow, ice, mud, rain. The work never stopped. And unlike many chores, water couldn't wait until tomorrow. You needed it today. Many Appalachian families eventually realized something important. The problem wasn't finding water. The mountains were full of springs. The problem was moving it. And once they understood that, the solution began to reveal itself. Instead of carrying water to the house, could the water travel there on its own? That question would eventually transform daily life across many mountain communities.
The breakthrough came from a simple observation. Water always wants to move downhill. Every stream follows gravity. Every creek follows gravity. Every river follows gravity. Nature never fights the slope. It uses it. Appalachian families began seeing the landscape differently. A spring wasn't just water. It was potential energy. If the spring sat above the house, gravity could do the work that people were doing by hand. The higher the spring sat, the greater the opportunity. Suddenly, elevation had value. A hillside became more than land. It became infrastructure. Imagine two homes. One sits above the spring. The other sits below it. Only one can use gravity to move water.
The second home might have a free water system. The first home still carries buckets. That's how important elevation became. Many families carefully selected building locations based on water access. In some cases, a good spring was considered one of the most valuable features a property could have. Because once gravity took over, the daily burden of hauling water could largely disappear. The mountain itself became the machine. And unlike a machine, it never needed fuel.
Now let's look at the science. This is where the system becomes truly impressive. For every foot of elevation, water gains approximately 0.433 psi of pressure. That means 50 feet of elevation creates about 22 psi. 100 feet creates about 43 psi. 140 feet creates roughly 60 psi. Why does that matter? Because many modern homes operate between 40 and 60 psi. Think about that. A mountain spring sitting only 100 to 140 feet above a house can create pressure comparable to many modern residential systems. Without electricity, without a pump, without a motor. Modern cities often use water towers to create pressure. The tower stores water high above the community. Gravity pushes the water downward. A gravity-fed spring system works exactly the same way. The mountain is the tower. The spring is the reservoir. Gravity provides the pressure. The laws of physics do the rest. And that's why these systems could continue operating during storms, blackouts, and emergencies. The source of power wasn't electricity. It was elevation. Most gravity-fed systems were surprisingly simple. Everything began at the spring. Families often protected the source with a structure called a spring box. A spring box collected clean water while keeping leaves, dirt, and animals out. From there, water entered a pipe. That pipe traveled downhill toward the home. Sometimes the distance was a few hundred feet, sometimes much farther. As the water descended, gravity created pressure naturally. No moving parts were required. No engine started. Nothing needed to be switched on. The water simply followed the path created for it. Many systems supplied kitchens. Others supplied livestock troughs. Some filled storage tanks that could serve multiple buildings. The beauty of the system was its simplicity. Every component had a purpose. The spring provided water. The elevation provided pressure. The pipe delivered the water. And gravity connected everything together. The fewer moving parts a system has, the fewer things can break. That simplicity is one reason these systems lasted so long.
The numbers behind these systems are remarkable. A typical household often needs around 6 gallons of water per minute available for normal use. Many developed springs can easily meet that demand. Some documented springs have produced around 20 gallons per minute. That's enough to generate roughly 1,200 gallons every hour, nearly 29,000 gallons every day. Without electricity, without fuel, without anyone touching a switch. The water simply keeps flowing. Some gravity-fed systems also covered impressive distances. Historical accounts describe springs located nearly half a mile from the home. Modern examples show gravity-fed systems operating over even longer runs. The most surprising part isn't the technology, it's the scale. Many people imagine these systems as primitive. In reality, some supplied enough water to support entire homesteads, and they did it continuously, day and night, 24 hours a day, for decades.
If gravity-fed water systems worked so well, why did people stop using them?
The answer is convenience. During the 20th century, electric pumps became cheaper. Municipal water systems expanded. Modern plumbing reached more communities. Suddenly, water could be delivered almost anywhere. You no longer needed a spring above your house. Technology made location less important. As a result, many gravity-fed systems were abandoned. Pipes rusted, spring boxes collapsed, old water lines disappeared beneath forest growth. Yet the principle never stopped working. Gravity didn't become outdated. The spring didn't stop flowing. Only the technology surrounding it changed. Many forgotten systems weren't abandoned because they failed. They were abandoned because something easier came along. And that's an important distinction.
Today, interest in gravity-fed water systems is growing again. Not because people want to return to the past, but because modern life has revealed new vulnerabilities. Power outages, rising energy costs, infrastructure failures. Many homeowners are rediscovering the value of systems that operate independently. A gravity-fed system doesn't care if the power goes out. It doesn't care about fuel prices. It doesn't need a motor. As long as the spring flows and the elevation exists, the system continues working. The lesson isn't that modern technology is bad. It's that simple systems often provide extraordinary resilience. Appalachian families weren't trying to build sustainable technology. They were solving practical problems. But in doing so, they created a water system that could operate continuously for generations, 24 hours a day, for nearly 100 years, powered by nothing more than gravity itself. And perhaps that's the most remarkable part. The technology changed, the world changed, but gravity never did.